Warning, the following video contains uncensored footage of an airbrush. Viewer discretion is advised. Sup, Briskevsky? I've got a big problem. I have all of these Space Marines and no desire to paint them. Silent King, forgive me. It's not my fault. They came with the Necrons. They just sit there taunting me with their gray plastic, judging me for leaving them unpainted. I've decided that enough is enough and it's about time I did something about it. I'm going to start by painting up a squad of 10 assault intercessors to see how quickly I can get them done. Since speed is the name of the game here, I'm going to be making liberal use of my airbrush. I started by spraying Vallejo Royal Purple from below, creating shadows on my associable intellectuals. After that, I moved on to a layer of Vallejo Royal Blue, spraying mostly towards the tops and making sure not to cover too much of the shadows. Finally, I did a layer of Vallejo Blue-Green just from above. Now, depending on how lazy you want to be, you could make the argument that my asthmatic interpreters are finished. They meet the 3-color standard that a lot of people like to go by, and everything else from here on out could be considered extra. Now, personally, I'm not satisfied with just this, which is why I'm going to keep adding detail, but if it's good enough for you, then go for it. Don't worry, everybody, I'm done with the airbrush on this project. Next, I used Tamiya gunmetal on the chainswords, bolt pistols, grenades, backpack exhaust ports, and this guy's plasma pistol and arm. Then I just followed that up with a classic Nuln Oil wash. I like to think of speed painting as a mindset more than any particular technique. It's mostly about finding the right balance of time versus results. My main strategy is to try to aim for the 80-20 rule, where 80% of your results come from 20% of your effort. Next, I did the leather pouches, belts, and holsters on the astounding interfaces. I used Vallejo Cork Brown with a wash of Army Painter Strong Tone for them. The brown I used ended up not giving the best coverage and needed 2 coats. You could probably cut down the time of this step if you used something with better coverage. By focusing on the things that give you the greatest results for the least amount of effort, you can optimize your time. You don't need to focus on painting every detail, on making sure there's no overpainting or obsessing about everything having perfect highlights. I did the Aquillas and the symbols on the assertive interrogator's arms using Vallejo Gold and a wash of Army Painter Flesh Wash. You want to focus on what's going to have the largest amount of impact. This is double true when working on an army. These assistance intercoms are only ever going to be used as a squad, so the effect of them all together is far more important than any individual detail, which is why I'm trying to give a breakdown of how long each step takes, so you can decide for yourself if the effect is worth the effort. I used Vallejo Dark Vermilion and Army Painter Red Tone for the purity seals and the visors. After that was dried, I did some small highlights using Amaranth Red. For the visors, I put down a little bit of water on the eyes and then put a tiny drop of the red in the corners, letting the water pull it over and creating a fairly basic gradient. Now, I know these asymmetric interchanges might look like they're Ultramarines, but they're actually my own homebrew chapter. They're the Mega Marines, because Mega is one better than Ultra. Only 1 in 10 million Marines can even be considered for a position in the Mega Marines. I also used the red with a little bit of white to do the glow effect on the plasma pistol. I know it's not the normal color, but I also wanted something that would have a higher contrast. I tried something a little bit different for the paper parts of the seals. I decided to try using a craft paint on them. I ended up using Folk Art Parchment and then giving them a wash with Army Painter Soft Tone. Make sure to thin down the wash a little bit since it's too dark to use normally. To even be considered for the Mega Marines, you have to first take part in a battle against Xenos, Traitors of the Imperium, and the Forces of Chaos, led by at least 1 Demon Prince. If you manage to get through all of that without being wounded, you may be considered to join the Mega Marines. Finally, I just needed to paint this guy's face to be finished. I used a mix of Pro Acryl Mahogany and Vallejo Cork Brown for it. The second main requirement to join the Mega Marines is you have to be a little gay. Since the chapter-wide orgies are mandatory, they consider it something of a team building activity. And with that, the squad of assorted interstates are complete. It took me just over 4 hours to complete the squad, which works out to about 24 minutes per model. I think they look great considering the amount of time I spent on them. Honestly, there is a part of me that is a little annoyed at how good they look considering how much faster they are to paint than my Necrons are. I am curious to hear what you think about it. Which is better, the Marines or my Necrons? Let me know in the comments down below. In the next video, I'm going to be trying to see if I can paint some of these bike marines in less than 30 seconds. So if that sounds interesting, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. And remember, until next time, we all have our own hobby journeys, and I'd like to thank you for joining me on mine. Assault Intercessors is a stupid name.